have your seats. Good morning, everyone. I welcome you all to the 35th National Youth Parliament, and I hope that this session will be fruitful. We will begin today's session with the first item in the list of business, that is the oath or affirmation of the newly elected members. Secretary General, please.
Mrs. Shreya, who stands elected from North Dharwad constituency of Karnataka, will now take oath or affirmation. Mrs. Shreya. Madam, do you want to take oath or affirmation?
Oath, please.
In which language would you like to take the oath?
In Kannada, please.
Kindly proceed.
ನಾನು ಶ್ರೇಯ ಪಾಂಡುರಂಗ್ ಕಾನೂನು ಮೂಲಕ ಸ್ಥಾಪಿತವಾದ ಭಾರತದ ಸಂವಿಧಾನ ವಿಷಯದಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಜವಾದ ಶ್ರದ್ಧೆ ಮತ್ತು ನಿಶ್ಚಯವನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಿರುತ್ತೇನೆ ಎಂದು ನಾನು ಭಾರತದ ಸಾರ್ವಭೌಮತ್ವವನ್ನು ಮತ್ತು ಅಖಂಡತೆಯನ್ನು ಪ್ರತಿ ಎತ್ತಿ ಹಿಡಿಯುತ್ತೇನೆ ಎಂದು ಯುವ ಸಂಸದೆಯಾಗಿ ನನ್ನ ಕರ್ತವ್ಯಗಳನ್ನು ಶ್ರದ್ಧಾಪೂರ್ವಕವಾಗಿ ನಿರ್ವಹಿಸುತ್ತೇನೆ ಎಂದು ನಾನು ದೇವರ ಹೆಸರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಮಾಣ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೇನೆ.
Mrs. Sunita Banerjee, who stands elected from Midnalpur constituency of West Bengal, will now take oath or affirmation. Mrs. Sunita Banerjee. Madam, do you want to take oath or affirmation?
Oath, please.
In which language would you like to take the oath?
In Bengali, please.
Kindly proceed.
আমি সুনিতা ব্যানার্জি লোকসভা সদস্য নির্বাচিত হইয়া ঈশ্বরের নামে শপথ করিতেছি যে বিধি দ্বারা স্থাপিত ভারতের সংবিধানের প্রতি আমি অকৃত্রিম নিষ্ঠা ও আনুগত্য পোষণ করিব। আমি ভারতের সার্বভৌমত্ব ও অখণ্ডতা রক্ষা করিব এবং যে কর্তব্যভার আমি গ্রহণ করিতে উদ্যত হইয়াছি তাহা নিষ্ঠাপূর্বক নির্বাহ করিব।
Members, as we are gathered in this august house, it is my bounden duty to remind the members of this house of the great sacrifices made by the people during the freedom movement led by Mahatma Gandhi. 82 years ago, it was on 9th August 1942 that Mahatma Gandhi ji led the Quit India movement. Many leaders were arrested by the British. Though they were arrested, this spread light all over our country, and people, irrespective of their caste, creed, gender, religion and status, openly came out and revolted against the British. Gandhiji's slogan, "Do or die," inspired each and every citizen of our country and tens and thousands of people sacrificed their lives for the freedom of our motherland. So today we live in a free India. So today is our duty, our nation's duty, to pay rich respects to the martyrs.
Rise to pay my rich tributes to all those who have sacrificed their life for the freedom of our nation. It was 9th August 1942. Mahatma Gandhi ji asked British to quit India. This Quit India movement gained momentum day by day. All the leaders were arrested, including Gandhi ji. And thousands of people sacrificed their life for the freedom of their motherland. But now, along with celebrating the 78th Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, it is also our bounden duty to recall the sacrifices made during the freedom movement and take lessons from the past in order to build a better future by the imperfect present. Freedom was not achieved overnight. It was achieved through long-drawn battles, and the Quit India movement was the turning phase. Hence, we must protect and respect our hard-earned freedom and recognize the sacrifices made by our leaders as the true guiding spirit for all of us.
आदरणीय अध्यक्ष महोदया, मैं प्रधानमंत्री के इस बात से सहमत हूं। 1942 को भारत छोड़ो आंदोलन का प्रारंभ हुआ। करो या मरो के नारों से विदेशियों को भारत को उपस्थित थे। गांधी जी ने शुरू किए हुए इस आंदोलन में लोगों ने अपनी जान की बाजी लगाकर जन आंदोलन का स्वरूप दिया। कई लोगों ने शहीद होकर अपनी जान की कुर्बानी दी। इस संग्राम में शहीद हुए स्वतंत्रता सेनानी तथा राष्ट्रपिता गांधी जी को मैं विपक्ष दल की ओर से श्रद्धावत श्रद्धांजलि देता हूं।
The House shall observe silence, please. Floral tributes at the Shaheed Samiti.
Yes, madam.
The Prime Minister to introduce the new ministers to the House.
Respected Speaker Madam, it is my pleasure in introducing to you and through you to the House my colleagues, the new Minister, Mr. Ranan, the Minister of Rural Housing and Development, Mrs. Sachi, the Minister of Social Justice and Empowerment,
Honorable members, now we'll take up the next item in the list of business, that is the question hour. Question number 101, Mr. Aditya.
Convenience and ease. However, we are also concerned about our financial data. So my question to the Minister of Electronics and Information Technology is, how is the ministry addressing issues like data fraud and cyber attacks, and is the ministry taking any steps to ensure our safety and security on online transactions?
Minister of Electronics and
Member of the House has asked a potential question, and it's my pleasure to answer such questions. As we all know, digital payments are a crucial part of our digital economy, and our ministry is committed to ensure its safety and security. We have brought strong frameworks for digital payments, which include Bharat Interface for Money, BHIM, and Unified Payment Interface, UPI, which is now worldwide famous and which is now also appreciated by the European Union. Madam, we are also implementing two-factor authentication system and encryption for protection of financial data of the user. We are also working with banks and fintech companies to detect fraud and respond to the cyber threats. Madam, some of our initiatives also include Indian Cybercrime Reporting Portal and Cyber Swachhata Kendra, which helps us to report and address fraud, data breaches and cyber attacks.
any supplementary questions? Ms. Srinidhi, please.
What steps is ministry taking to support young entrepreneurs and startups in tech industry?
Speaker Madam, through you, I would like to answer the question raised by the member of the opposition that we have taken initiatives like Startup into Young Entrepreneurs. We are also establishing incubators and accelerators across the country to support young entrepreneurs. Madam, some of our measures also include National Startup Award, Incubation Program, funding opportunities and skill development program for supporting startup tech industries.
Supplementary questions?
Thank you, Speaker Madam. Honorable Speaker Madam, I would like to know how the Minister of Electronics and Information Technology has planned to address digital divide and to provide equal access of technology to the younger generation.
Madam Speaker, I would like to inform the member that we are working to expand internet connectivity to rural areas through programs like BharatNet. We have launched programs like National Digital Literacy Mission and Pradhan Mantri Gramin Digital Saksharata Abhiyan. Our ministry is also providing affordable devices, digital skill enhancement and data plans to disadvantaged youth in both rural and urban areas. Our ministry is also investing in expanding digital infrastructure such as internet connectivity to ensure equal access to technology for younger generation.
Question number 102, Mr. Mubarak.
Honorable Speaker Madam, will the Ministry of Home Affairs be pleased to state that whether any rescue team has been sent to assess the damage caused due to flooding in Assam and Uttar Pradesh in July? And I would like to know any action has been taken by the government so far?
Minister of Home Affairs.
It's the question raised by a respected member. I would like to say, regarding Assam, we have already sent rescue teams to find people reeling under the flooding settlements and conditions. Over 100 relief camps have been set up, sheltering more than 30,000 people who have been displaced. The situation has also been discussed with the authorities in Odisha to obtain help from the state's disaster management systems to serve the people of Assam at the earliest. In Uttar Pradesh, we have already directed public officials to provide assistance and aid the people of the flooded areas. Aerial surveys are also being conducted to assess the situation.
Extra supplementary questions? Ms. Veeksha.
Honorable Speaker Madam, my question for the Minister of Home Affairs is that why are the floods causing such grave losses and displacing many people's lives? More than 5 lakh people in Assam are affected and the death toll is above 100. 1,400 villages are submerged underwater and 25,000 hectares of cropland area has been rendered unusable. 3 lakh animals are also in danger. This is a complete negligence from the government side.
Honorable members, maintain the decorum of the House.
I repeat that this is a complete negligence from the government side. And what has the government been doing?
And this is a highly condemnable act. Disaster management at a local level in the 18 affected districts of Assam is a matter of the state. The union government has taken all possible action so far. We have released 250 crore from the NDRF to the state government. Rescue teams have been dispatched to all corners to search for and save the lives of the battling people. Food aid, many metric tons of food and medical aid, as well as helicopters have been dispatched to the affected areas. There is absolutely no negligence on the government's part. Sadly, Assam has certain remote areas which have not been possible to provide aid to by the rescue teams so far. However, the teams are trying their best to leave no stone unturned. We are trying to the utmost to save the flood victims.
Supplementary questions, anyone?
To brief the Minister of Home Affairs accountable to answer my questions.
what amount of finances have been made public to the damaged and distressed states? Why, I ask, why is the executive regime authority failing to immediately redirect the fund finances to the distressed people? Despite having enough, I repeat, despite having enough to spend on the fund finances. Madam Speaker, आखिर ये सरकार कर क्या रही है? Why is so much time taken? Madam Speaker, don't we all know that a stitch in time saves 9?
Madam, again, I say the issue is being used by the opposition for cheap political gains, and they are attempting to polarize the electorate instead of cooperating with our government to solve this systemic issue. Almost 1,600 crore had been allocated to Assam's flooding alone in this year's union budget. 250 crore has already been released to the government, as I have already said. The UP flooding is more recent, and I positively assure the House that suitable amounts will be released very soon from the relief fund. I would like to inform the House that government funds are not a light matter. We first analyze the damages carefully and send the money afterwards. We do not willfully cause delays if that is what the opposition is implying. Our only wish is that the people avail of this aid, as they are our topmost priority. Extra funds should not get misused by corrupt officials, as they had been misused in the previous governments headed by none other than our principal opposition party.
Madam Speaker, this is an accusation of the
Honorable
opposition
member,
team.
kindly do not interrupt. Please take your seat.
Our government is working towards greater transparency. Therefore, I request the opposition to kindly not politicize this issue. Thank you.
Question number 103, Ms. Yashaswini.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, the objective for which Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana was launched, and whether any complaints have been received by the government for not providing proper assistance to the needy people by the banks.
Minister of Finance.
Raised. Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana was launched on 8th April 2015 to extend the collateral-free loans to unfunded microbusiness units for income-generating activities. As on 26/2024, more than 47 crore, amounting rupees 28 lakh crore, have been sanctioned to the borrowers under the scheme. Honorable Member, I would like to bring it to your notice that the complaints regarding implementation of Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana are readdressed in discussion with respective banks. I would like to mention that the complaints received are also being taken of the respective bank within the prescribed timeline.
Supplementary questions. Mr. Mubarak, please.
Whether it is a fact that our combined government debt of the country is 86.5% of GDP, despite our claim that India is the fastest growing economy in the world. Madam Speaker, whether the high debt level of the government has resulted in a lower level of total investment in the economy, which is 32% in GDP in 2023. But compared to 2011 and 12, it was 38 to 39%. I repeat, in year 2011 and 12, it was 38 to 39%.
Madam Speaker, a sharp rise in the government debt in the financial year 2020-21 is the general government debt related to GDP has now declined over last 2 years to reach around 81% at the end of March 2023. National Statistical Office NSO has estimated that the investment rate, which stood at 34.3% in the financial year 2020-21, has now declined. अध्यक्ष महोदया, 2004 से 2012 तक कंपनियों द्वारा की गई अनसस्टेनेबल इन्वेस्टमेंट के कारण बहुत सारे ऋण बन गए, जिसके लिए बैंक एक कर्जे का बड़ा हिस्सा बन गया. Madam Speaker, in addition of strengthening the financial system, the government has doubled its effective capital and various other measures such as reduction of corporate tax rate, liberalization of foreign direct investment have created a sustainable growth in private investment. I would like to mention that the increasing capital will not only boost the investment rate but also returns a higher GDP growth rate in lower debt. अध्यक्ष महोदया, हमारी सरकार यह सोच रही है कि 2025 तक बजटरी रेट 4% कम करे।
Supplementary questions.
Speaker, would the finance minister be pleased to state whether if the neutralized money of the compensation fund is going to be distributed at the end of the compensation period?
Madam Speaker, the question which is asked is an excellent question. Thank you. 2017 के तहत 5 साल के बाद जीएसटी मुआवजे में बचा हुआ पैसा राज्य सरकार और केंद्र सरकार के बीच बराबरी में बंट जाएगा। राज्यों के बीच यह बंटवारा उनके राज्य जीएसटी वसूली के आधार पर बांट दिया जाएगा जो पिछले वर्ष किया था। निधि का विभाजन कुछ इस प्रकार होगा: 50% निधि राज्यों के बीच बंट जाएगा और बाकी बचा हुआ 50 पैसा राज्य के कर मध्य वितरण पूल का हिस्सा बन जाएगा। Madam Speaker, compensation will be provided for a period of 5 years on which the state brings its state GST force into act. The growth rate revenue for the last 5 years is assumed to be 14% per annum. Thank you.
प्रश्न संख्या 104 सुश्री श्रीनिधि।
माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदया, क्या स्वास्थ्य एवं परिवार कल्याण मंत्री यह बताने की कृपा बैंक द्वारा जीवन प्रत्याशा और मृत्यु के कारणों जैसे संकेतकों के संदर्भ में 145, मैं दोहराती हूँ 145 देशों की सूची में भारत की स्थिति क्या है? भारत को और बेहतर बनाने के लिए सरकार क्या कदम उठा रही है?
माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदया, वर्ल्ड हेल्थ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन और विश्व बैंक द्वारा जीवन प्रत्याशा, मृत्यु के कारण आदि को शामिल करते हुए स्वास्थ्य गुणवत्ता सूचकांकों पर रिपोर्ट प्रकाशित करते रहे हैं, जिसमें भारत का पद 134वें पर है। भारत के लिए जन्म के समय जीवन प्रत्याशा 70 वर्ष है। अध्यक्ष महोदया, मैं यह बताना चाहूँगी कि स्वास्थ्य और परिवार कल्याण मंत्रालय राज्यों के माध्यम से प्रमुख योजनाएं लागू कर रहा है, जैसे राष्ट्रीय स्वास्थ्य मिशन, प्रधानमंत्री स्वास्थ्य सुरक्षा योजना और आयुष्मान भारत प्रधानमंत्री जन आरोग्य योजना की स्थापना के लिए केंद्र प्रायोजित योजना देश में मानक है। स्वास्थ्य गुणवत्ता सूचकांकों में सुधार के लिए मेडिकल कॉलेज, अस्पताल, राष्ट्रीय एड्स नियंत्रण कार्यक्रम आदि को जारी किया गया है। धन्यवाद महोदया।
3 questions. Ms. भूमि।
धन्यवाद महोदया। मैं स्वास्थ्य एवं परिवार कल्याण मंत्री से यह जानना चाहती हूँ कि नेशनल हेल्थ मिशन के अंतर्गत कितने फंड्स जारी किए गए हैं और इस साल भारत में कितने न्यू मेडिकल कॉलेजेस और नए अस्पताल खोले गए हैं?
अध्यक्ष महोदया, मैं माननीय सदस्य को यह बताना चाहूँगी कि इस साल नेशनल हेल्थ मिशन के अंतर्गत 31,900 करोड़ रुपयों की धनराशि जारी की गई है। भारत में अब तक 27,700 अस्पताल है, जिसमें सिर्फ सरकारी अस्पताल ही 16,000 है। भारत में मेडिकल कॉलेजों की संख्या 700 से भी अधिक है। इस साल 112 और नए मेडिकल कॉलेज खोले जाएंगे। माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदया, मैं आशा करती हूँ कि माननीय सदस्यों को अपने प्रश्न का उत्तर मिल चुका है।
Number 105, Ms. Sanvi.
Honorable Minister of Agriculture, be pleased has assessed the loss incurred to the farmers due to the recent heavy rainfall in my constituency, Pune, Maharashtra. If so, what measures would the government propose to take to help the affected farmers?
Honorable Speaker, Madam, yes, the government has assessed the loss caused to the recent heavy rains, and I had sent my state minister to the worst affected areas to take a stock of the situation, and also a team of experts is currently visiting the affected areas of the Pune constituency. Not only Pune, but the affected areas of Kerala, Karnataka, Assam, Odisha, Maharashtra and Andhra Pradesh are currently being visited. Our ministry proposed to take these steps in this regard. Firstly, to direct the state government to assess the individual loss occurred to these farmers. Secondly, to request the Honorable Prime Minister, Madam, to release an installment of financial aid from her relief fund to these farmers. Thirdly, to ask the banks to waive the loans of these farmers. And finally, to direct the disaster management wing to be prepared for any such eventuality in the future. Thank you.
Ms. Sanvi, would you like to tell the first supplement?
No, madam.
The floor is open for supplementary questions. Mr. Aryan.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, I want to bring it to the notice of the government regarding the incident which occurred recently and which was also published in the newspaper. As you all can see, that the farmers of the Maharashtra have blocked the highway to protest against the drastic fall in the onion prices simply because the onions turned wet due to heavy rain. Honorable Speaker, Madam, the people want to know whether the Ministry of Agriculture have any contingency plan to overcome this problem.
Speaker Madam, I do have information about this incident, and sir, you will be glad to know that my ministry is going to announce the adequate support price for onions in Maharashtra very soon, so that the farmers won't face any difficulty in getting their crops worth.
Any other supplementary questions? Ms. Apurva, please.
यह बड़े अफसोस की बात है कि किसान जो हमारे देश का अन्नदाता है उसे साल भर किसी न किसी मुसीबतों से गुजरना पड़ता है। जब भारी बारिश होती है तो उसके कारण उसकी सारी फसलें नष्ट हो जाती हैं। जब वर्षा काल में पर्याप्त वर्षा ही नहीं होती है तो अकाल जैसी स्थितियां उत्पन्न होती हैं। लेकिन जब बारिश अच्छे से होती है तो फसलें भी अच्छी आती हैं। इसके बावजूद आज की सबसे बड़ी समस्या यह है कि किसानों को कभी भी उनके फसलों का सही मूल्य नहीं प्राप्त होता है। इसलिए अध्यक्ष महोदया, मेरा कृषि मंत्री से यह प्रश्न है कि क्या हमारी सरकार के पास ऐसा कोई समाधान है जिससे कि किसानों को उनके दुखों से हमेशा हमेशा के लिए निजात मिल जाए।
माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदया, माननीय सदस्य ने एक बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण प्रश्न उठाया है। इस प्रश्न के एक अंश का उत्तर मैं पहले ही दे चुकी हूँ। वो यह है कि जब भी किसानों को उनके फसलों का कोई उचित मूल्य नहीं मिलता है तब सरकार उन्हें निश्चित रूप से मिनिमम सपोर्ट प्राइस अवश्य प्रदान करेगी ताकि उन किसानों को उनके फसलों का कोई नुकसान ना उठाना पड़े। और जैसे माननीय सदस्य पूछ रहे थे कि बाढ़ के कारण सारी फसल नष्ट हो गए हैं और सरकार ने क्या कदम उठाए हैं, मैं उनके लिए उत्तर देना चाहूंगी कि हमारी सरकार उन किसानों का कर्ज पूरी तरह से माफ करती है। अकाल की स्थिति से निपटने के लिए भी हमारी सरकार पूरी तरह से तैयार है। नदियों को आपस में जोड़कर सिंचाई व्यवस्था को सही करके हम अकाल से निपट सकेंगे। और हमारे कृषि विभाग ने कृषि वैज्ञानिकों द्वारा जारी पूर्व अनुमान की सूचना को जन जन सचेत करने का पीड़ा उठाया है। धन्यवाद।
Question number 106, Ms. Muskan.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, every second person in this country lives in the fear of losing their hard-earned money from online frauds and through cyber attacks. Knowing this, the government has done nothing about it. This shows that the government is failing to protect its citizens from being a victim of cyber attack. I would like to know what does the Law Minister has to say about increasing cyber threats in the country.
Minister of Law and Justice, please.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, the member has made an allegation without having made a proper research on the subject matter. I'm glad to say so because we know the significance and the growing concern for it, and we acknowledge the challenges that come along with protecting citizens and other business organizations. Now, I outline the measures being taken and our future plans to strengthen our cyber security. Madam Speaker, we have been regularly reviewing and updating our cyber security laws and policies to ensure they are robust, which can effectively address the newly emerging cyber threats. Nationwide campaigns have been launched to educate the public on cyber security's best practices, helping them to combat such attacks. And initiatives have been taken to train law enforcement and other stakeholders for the same. We are working closely with international organizations, private sector organizations and other governments to share intelligence and to collaborate on cross-border investigation. We are planning to invest in advanced technology.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, it's too late for this. We have already faced
Honorable
the losses.
member, let the minister kindly finish.
Ma'am, but
Please
it's a
take your
concerning
seat.
issue.
Let the minister kindly finish.
Madam,
Please take your seat, member.
We are planning to invest in advanced technologies such as artificial intelligence and machine learning, which will help in improving the threat detection and prevention.
Any supplementary questions, anyone? Ms. Sanmati, please.
Thank you, respected Speaker Madam. My question to the Law and Justice Minister is that establishing cybercrime police stations and cybercrime centers is all good, but has the government at least thought of taking measures to mitigate the risk associated with cyber attacks through fraud calls and fake websites?
Madam Speaker, I would like to inform the member of the House that several measures are being taken by the government to mitigate the risk associated with cyber crimes through fake website and fraud calls. Firstly, it would be educating and making people aware about such online frauds and fake and cyber crimes, and providing them with basic training which will help them avoid such vulnerabilities. Secondly, our government has implemented laws specifically targeting cybercrime, including those involving fake websites under India's 2021 IT rules for social media and other websites. Moreover, the government has taken the initiative to ban SIM cards which have been blacklisted. And as earlier stated by the Minister of Electronic and Information Technology, National Cybercrime Reporting Portal has been launched, which helps the public in reporting incidents relating to such attacks. And a toll-free helpline number has been registered, which will help in providing assistance in filing complaints online.
Other supplementary questions? Ms. Sinchana?
माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदया, क्या साइबर हमलों से बढ़ते नुकसान के बावजूद न्याय और कानून मंत्री माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदया, क्या साइबर हमलों से प्रभावित व्यवसायों को सरकार द्वारा कोई भी योजनाएं उपलब्ध कराई भी जा रही है? क्योंकि साइबर हमलों से बढ़ते नुकसान के बावजूद न्याय और कानून मंत्री ने या तो निर्णायक कार्रवाई करने में घोर उपेक्षा की है या उन्होंने ऐसे किसी भी प्रयास को प्रदर्शित करने में विफल रहे हैं। इसीलिए मैं उनसे यह जानना चाहूंगी कि अगर ऐसे कोई भी व्यवसाय योजनाएं उपलब्ध है तो उन व्यवसाय की सहायता मिल रही है।
माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदया, हमारी सरकार ने उन व्यवसायों को मदद करने के लिए मजबूत कदम उठाए हैं। हमने उन व्यवसायों को उनके आर्थिक संकट से बाहर निकालने के लिए और उनके पुनः प्राप्ति लागत का भुगतान करने में सहायता कर रहे हैं, ताकि वे फिर से मजबूती से काम कर सके। और साइबर सुरक्षा को मजबूत करने के लिए हमारी सरकार निजता और सुरक्षा के बीच संतुलन बनाए रखते हुए लगातार काम कर रही है। जहां तक विपक्ष के आरोपों की बात है, हम साफ कहना चाहेंगे कि खाली आरोपों और आलोचनाओं से सच्चाई को छुपाई नहीं जा सकती, क्योंकि हमारे लिए सिर्फ बातें ही नहीं, काम ही असली पहचान है। धन्यवाद महोदया।
Question number 107, Mr. Sameer.
माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदया, हाल ही में कश्मीर क्षेत्र में हुए आतंकवादी हमलों और उग्रवादी गतिविधियों में आई बढ़ोतरी को देखते हुए क्या रक्षा मंत्रालय ने वहां की नागरिकों की सुरक्षा और संरक्षा को सुनिश्चित करने के लिए क्या कोई कदम उठाए भी है? क्या सरकार इतनी कमजोर हो गई है कि वो कश्मीरी आतंकवादी से डरने लगी, या फिर वो उन नागरिकों की सुरक्षा और संरक्षा चाहते ही नहीं है?
Minister of Defense, please.
माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदया, यह इस सदन के सदस्य द्वारा पूछा गया एक बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण और चिंताजनक प्रश्न है। महोदया, रक्षा मंत्रालय हाल ही में कश्मीर में हुए आतंकवादी हमलों और उग्रवादी गतिविधियों के बीच नागरिकों की सुरक्षा और संरक्षा सुनिश्चित करने में पूरी तरीके से प्रतिबद्ध है। महोदया, इस संकट की घड़ी में हम बिना किसी प्रकार की ढिलाई के एक सशक्त और बहुआयामी रणनीति को लागू कर रहे हैं, जिसमें न केवल रणनीतिक स्थानों पर सुरक्षा बलों को तैनात किया गया है, बल्कि खुफिया अभियानों और निगरानियों को भी अत्यधिक बढ़ावा दिया गया है। महोदया, सरकार पे ऐसे आरोप लगाए जा रहे हैं कि वह इस मुश्किल घड़ी में कोई कदम नहीं उठा रही है, पर मैं ये आपको बता दूं महोदया कि हम इस मुश्किल की घड़ी में हमारी टीम दिन रात एक करके मेहनत कर रही है ताकि किसी भी दुर्घटना का एक निर्णायक रूप से जवाब दिया जा सके। महोदया, हम इन बदलते हुए हालातों का बहुत ही गहराई से विश्लेषण कर रहे हैं ताकि हमारी रणनीतियां हर नए खतरे का एक मुंह तोड़ जवाब देने में सक्षम रह सके। और नागरिकों की सुरक्षा और संरक्षा सुनिश्चित हो। महोदया, बात आई पीछे हटने की। इस मुश्किल की घड़ी में, इस कठिन घड़ी में रक्षा मंत्रालय और मेरी टीम एक क्षण के लिए भी पीछे हटने के लिए तैयार नहीं है महोदया। यह एक ऐसा संकल्प है जो किसी भी चुनौती का सामना करने के लिए तैयार है। धन्यवाद महोदया।
Supplementary questions, Mr. Gaganaksh.
Speaker ma'am, in light of recent incidents, can the Minister of Defense provide some more details on the deployment of additional forces near the affected sites? How is the ministry ensuring that these forces are adequately trained and armed to handle such threats?
Honorable Speaker Madam, we have deployed additional forces strategically near the affected sites, and these deployed units are equipped with advanced technology and weaponry, including night vision capability glasses, drones for aerial surveillance, advanced carbine rifles, and advanced gear, madam. And we are conducting regular training programs and anti-insurgency drills to ensure that the deployed units are capable of fighting with the insurgents.
Other supplementary questions? Ms. Ananya, please.
Madam Speaker, could the Defence Minister please provide more information on how the armed forces and the local law enforcement agencies are working together to avoid the insurgent activities taking place in Kashmir? And what are the steps taken, I repeat, what are the steps taken to implement and enhance intelligence sharing and collaborative operations?
The statement to this supplementary must be laid on the table. Other supplementary questions, anyone? Ms. Veeksha, please.
Madam Speaker, my question to the Minister of Defence Minister is that what are the steps being taken to involve and protect the local communities in the counter-insurgency operation? How is the ministry addressing the concerns of the civilians regarding their safety and protection? Is the government even concerned about the lives of civilians?
Honorable Speaker Madam, we are actively involving local communities in our community outreach initiative programs to address their concerns. And Madam, we are also involving local communities in our investigation operations by questioning them about the case, which we can possibly get any ample information and can prevent threats further. Madam, the safety and security of the civilians is a priority. And in every of our operations, we are really concerned about the lives of the civilians, Madam. Thank you.
No more supplement questions. Honorable members, now the question hour ends. Secretary General to lay the papers of the bill as passed from the upper house of the Youth Parliament.
I have to report the following message received from the Secretary of the Upper House of Youth Parliament. In accordance with provisions, the rules of procedure and conduct of business in the Upper Chamber of Youth Parliament, I am directed to enclose a copy of Karnataka High Court Amendment Bill.
Secretary General to lay the papers of the bill as passed from the upper house.
Madam, I lay the copy of bill on the table of the House. Karnataka High Court Amendment Bill as passed by the Upper Chamber.
Yes. Honorable members, at this stage of proceeding, I have to make an important announcement. On my behalf and on behalf of all of the members, I have great pleasure in extending my warm welcome to Her Excellency Mrs. Rosie D'Souza, Speaker of England National Assembly, and honorable member who are on a visit to India as our honorable guest. The other member of this delegation is Mr. William, Finance Minister of England. This is a high-power delegation. The delegation has arrived on 18th August 2024 for a 5-day visit to India as per the invitation given by the Parliament of India. They are now seated in a special box. We wish them a happy and fruitful stay in our country. We also convey our warm greetings and best wishes through them to Government of England and friendly people of England. Honorable members, अब सदन कार्यसूची के अगले मद पर विचार विमर्श करेगी, जो कि ध्यान आकर्षित प्रस्ताव है। सुश्री काव्या।
मंदिर मस्जिद का मुद्दा राजनीति का खेल,
मंदिर मस्जिद का मुद्दा राजनीति का खेल, धर्म के नाम पर क्यों बांटे थे देश का मेल। मंदिर में राम बसे मस्जिद में रहमान, फिर क्यों दिलों में बरते ये नफरत का तूफान। माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदया, आज देश धार्मिक उन्माद और अंधविश्वास जैसी समस्याओं से लड़ रहा है। कुछ स्वघोषित भगवान जनता की भावनाओं के साथ खिलवाड़ कर रहे हैं। हाल ही में देश के कई हिस्सों से लोगों के भगदड़ के शिकार हो जाने की खबर आ रही है। पिछले दिनों हुई ऐसे ही घटना में 100 से ज्यादा लोगों की जानें चली गई जो एक बाबा के सत्संग में शामिल होने गए थे। मैं माननीय गृह मंत्री से जानना चाहती हूँ कि सरकार का ऐसी दर्दनाक घटनाओं पर क्या वक्तव्य है। सरकार ऐसी घटनाओं के पीड़ितों के लिए क्या कदम उठा रही है।
माननीय गृह राज्य मंत्री।
माननीय वक्ता महोदया, सर्वप्रथम मैं पिछले दिनों हुई दुर्घटना में जान गंवाने वाले लोगों के परिवारजनों के प्रति अपनी संवेदनाएं व्यक्त करता हूं। ईश्वर उन्हें यह दर्द सहने की शक्ति दे। महोदया, जब भी ऐसी घटनाएं घटती हैं, स्थानीय प्रशासन राहत कार्यों में जुट जाता है। माननीय सदस्य महोदया, हाल की जिस घटना के बारे में बात कर रही हैं, उसमें केंद्र सरकार राज्य सरकार को हर संभव मदद पहुंचा रही है। भगदड़ पीड़ितों के परिवार वालों के लिए हेल्पलाइन नंबर जारी किए गए हैं। घटना की जांच के लिए एक कमेटी का गठन भी किया गया है। प्रधानमंत्री द्वारा दिवंगत आत्माओं के परिवारजनों के लिए 2 लाख रुपए का मुआवजा देने की घोषणा की गई है एवं जख्मी लोगों के परिवारों को 50,000 रुपए की सहायता राशि दी जाएगी। मैं घायलों के शीघ्र ही स्वस्थ होने की कामना करता हूं।
सुश्री राघवी।
Honorable Speaker Madam, this matter is a very serious subject. There are reports of such stampedes every day from many parts of the country. Be it the Mecca Masjid stampede of 2007, the Vaishno Devi Shrine incident of 2022 or the 2014 Gandhi Maidan Patna stampede on the occasion of Dashera. Lakhs of innocent people have lost their lives in this. Madam, is people's lives so cheap in India? Has the government brought any law for the safety of people in such programs? And Honorable Madam, the issue of fake babas has become a very serious problem in the society today. These people cheat mentally and financially by socially pretending to be religious or spiritual personalities. Has the government brought any law for the safety of people in such programs? And did the government plan to bring any rule to crack down on the such self-proclaimed fake babas? I repeat it, on such self-proclaimed fake babas.
Honorable Speaker Madam, I request Honorable Member not to politicize this moment of grief. महोदया, आप जिस इंटॉलरेंस की बात कर रही हैं वह मुझे नहीं पता कि क्या है, परंतु हमारी सरकार के लिए जीवन ही सबसे बड़ा धर्म है और मृत्यु को अवसर बनाने वाली सारी गतिविधियां ही सबसे बड़ी रिलीजियस इंटॉलरेंस हैं. So this incident is not related to religious intolerance, perhaps it's an accident. As said, the true power of the nation lies in its people and the country cannot afford such losses. Hence, anyone whose negligence caused this incident will not be spared, be it the satsang organization or the officers. Strict action will be taken against everyone. In the recent times, several state governments have enacted new policies to streamline the registration of various religious organizations and to closely monitor their activities. These measures aim to facilitate the identification and prosecution of fraudulent spiritual leaders commonly known as fake babas. The goal is to protect the public from exploitation and uphold the sanctity of genuine religious practices. The government is taking a proactive stance against deceit and corruption in various religious circles. These amendments are designed to empower authorities to take a decisive action against the impostors who exploit the faith of innocent people. आस्था खरा सोना होता है, मैं दोहराता हूं, आस्था खरा सोना होता है, अपने फायदे के लिए इसमें मिलावट करने वाले पाखंडी बाबाओं को हमारी सरकार सख्त से सख्त सजा देगी, क्योंकि इस मामले में हमारा मानना है कि झूठे बाबाओं का पर्दाफाश करना और उन्हें सजा देना ही धर्म की सच्ची सेवा है. In conclusion, these new policies and legal amendments signify a critical step towards safeguarding the spiritual well-being of our nation. Our government cares about the sentiments of the people and their safety and is continuously working for this. माननीय सदस्य महोदया ने हमारी सरकार पर जो धार्मिक असहिष्णुता का आरोप लगाया है उसके विषय में मैं कहूंगा कि हमारा एक ही धर्म है भारतीयता, एक ही कर्म है संविधान में आस्था और एक ही पूजा है भारतवासियों का कल्याण।
Now the House will take up the consideration of Public Examination Prevention Means Bill 2024. Education Minister to introduce the bill.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, with your kind permission, I rise to lay the Public Examination Prevention of Unfair Means Bill 2024 be taken up for consideration. महोदया, यह विधेयक भारत की युवा शक्ति और भारत की युवा सामर्थ्य को समर्पित है। यह दोनों वर्ग हमारी सरकार की प्राथमिकता है। यह हम प्रमाण सहित कह सकते हैं कि जब से हमारी सरकार कार्य में आई है तब से युवा केंद्रित जितनी भी प्रावधान लाए गए, सारी प्रक्रियाओं पे पारदर्शिता सुनिश्चित की गई है। इस कारण भारत के युवाओं को अपनी प्रतिभा एवं परिश्रम के अनुसार अनुकूल मिल रहे हैं। महोदया, पिछले कुछ समय से भारत के विभिन्न भागों से ऐसे समाचार आ रहे हैं कि कहीं माल प्रैक्टिसेस हुए, कहीं पेपर लीकेजेस हुए, कहीं इम्पर्सिनेशंस हुए और कहीं तो पेपर बाहर लाके सॉल्व कर दिए गए। अगर उदाहरण देने लगेंगे तो अनेक हैं, जैसे हजारीबाग झारखंड में नीट यूजी पेपर लीक हुआ, सीबीआई के जांच के बाद 2 लोगों को हिरासत में लिया गया। ऐसा ही एक मामला पटना एम्स में भी बाहर आया। इसीलिए मैं हाउस में अपील करती हूँ, क्या आप नहीं चाहते हमारे बच्चों को, आपके बच्चों को इस परिस्थिति से बचाया जाए? And therefore, I request the members of the House to support the bill, which has the following provisions. First, Section 9 of the bill states that all offences are cognizable, non-bailable and non-compoundable. Second, punishment for any person or persons resorting to unfair means and offences is to be imprisoned for 3 to 5 years and fine up to 1 lakh rupees. Third, the service provider shall be liable to be punished with imposition of 1 crore rupees and imprisonment for 10 years and also be barred from being any responsibility in the later future. मुझे नहीं लगता कि किसी को इससे आपत्ति होनी चाहिए। ऐसे अपराधों के लिए पहले सजा का प्रावधान नहीं था। प्रस्तुत विधेयक इस दिशा में एक ठोस कदम है। यह बिल जारी होते ही लोगों तक यह संदेश पहुंच जाएगा कि बच्चे हमारी समाज की साझा धरोहर है और उनका कल्याण और विकास ही हमारी सरकार का साझा उद्देश्य है। धन्यवाद महोदया।
Leader of Opposition.
आदरणीय अध्यक्ष महोदया, भर्ती निकले तो इम्तिहान नहीं, भर्ती निकले तो इम्तिहान नहीं, परीक्षा है तो परिणाम नहीं। क्यों हर भर्ती पंचवर्षीय योजना है? क्यों हर भर्ती पंचवर्षीय योजना है? कैसी यह परीक्षा प्रणाली है? हमारे युवाओं की छीन ली जवानी है। Speaker Madam, there have been a large number of paper leaks in recruitment exam across the country. Students spend years and years preparing for their exam. Their family supports them financially and emotionally. And the truth is, students today do not believe in exam because they are convinced that exam is designed for rich people, suppressing the talented students. आदरणीय अध्यक्ष महोदया, किसी अर्जुन को शेष साबित करने के लिए हर युग में एकलव्य का अंगूठा कटाया गया है। अंगूठे तो आज भी कट रहे हैं और अब द्रोणाचार्यों ने दुर्बलता को कानून बना दिया है। Even today we witness instances where individuals have to give up their potential, attaining to Eklavya sacrifice. And this time, this is due to organizational corruption, paper leaks and mishandling of laws by modern day Dronacharyas. स्पीकर मैडम, इस सरकार ने प्रोफेशनल एग्जाम को कमर्शियल एग्जाम बना दिया है।
यह इल्जाम बेबुनियाद है।
देखिए, आप ऐसे कुछ नहीं बोल सकते। यह बिल कई कमियों से भरा हुआ है। धारा 10 उपधारा 4 में यह उल्लेख है कि किसी भी व्यक्ति जिसके द्वारा अनजाने में अपराध हुआ है वह दंडनीय नहीं होगा। यह उपधारा जांच एजेंसी के करीबियों को क्लियर चिट मिलने के लिए दुरुपयोग किया जा सकता है। यह सरकार उन इंस्टीट्यूशंस को बचाना चाहती है जो ऐसे गैर कानूनी हरकतें करती हैं। एंड ड्यू टू दीज रीजंस आई अपोज दिस बिल I oppose this bill. I oppose this bill.
Minister of Education.
माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदया, इनकी बातें सुनकर तो यह कहावत याद आती है कि उल्टा चोर कोतवाल को डांटे। माननीय नेता प्रतिपक्ष ने जो भी बात बताया वह कोई नई बात नहीं है। जब इनकी सरकार थी तब भी ऐसे मामले बाहर आते थे, परंतु इन्होंने उन्हें रोकने के लिए कोई ठोस कदम नहीं उठाया। हमारी सरकार ने इस विषय को गंभीरता से लिया है और इस बिल के तहत कानूनी प्रावधान लाने की कोशिश कर रही है। Madam Speaker, I want to bring to the notice of the people of our country through this house that in their tenure the selection process was stretched to 2 to 3 years, and now I am glad to share that the entire selection process has been squeezed down to 6 to 7 months under the guidance of our Honorable Prime Minister. This shows the commitment of our government to expedite the selection process, whether it is admission process in major institutions or recruiting government agencies. Central government vacancies have been filled up in the past 9 years, and Regional Recruitment Exams Board have given government jobs to around 4 lakh youth between 2014 to 2023. Thank you, Madam.
Honorable Minister Sunita Banerjee.
Honorable Speaker Madam, I rise in the support of this bill. I believe that the intent of the bill is very good. The use of unfair means has become very common today. Students believe that they have a right to do so because so many others have done it without being penalized. Cheating leads to delays and cancellations of examinations, impacting the prospects of millions of youth. Madam Speaker, I would like to appreciate the checking of malpractices and organized cheating in government recruitment exams. The recent hit 12th Fail movie brings this out in a harsh and real form. So this is definitely the need of the hour.
Honorable Member Shubhankar.
माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदया, मैं सरकार के इस महान उद्देश्य का समर्थन करता हूं कि विधेयक लाया गया है। मुझे आपसे कुछ स्पष्टीकरण चाहिए जो कानून के प्रावधानों के कार्यान्वयन से संबंधित है। पहला, जब भारतीय न्याय संहिता में ऐसे अपराधों के लिए सजा सुनिश्चित है तो सरकार ने विधेयक क्यों जारी किया? दूसरा, ये आपने सजा तो दे दी पर इसके लिए समाधान क्या है? उपधारा में 10 वर्ष की सजा का प्रावधान है, परंतु हमारा ये मानना है कि इतनी लंबी सजा की कोई आवश्यकता नहीं। इतनी लंबी सजा सिर्फ घोर से घोर आपराधिक मामलों में ही दी जाती है।
Honorable Member Charvita.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, don't you think it's too late and too little for such offences? This bill only talks about punishment, imprisonment and fine. This bill doesn't talk about why these malpractices are happening and how to control these malpractices. This bill is just covering the symptom of deeper issue in the system. There is a huge difference between the number of aspirants and number of good opportunities available in this country. This is a very concerning issue and this issue needs to be addressed immediately. Therefore, I oppose this bill and I request the House to not let the bill pass. Thank you.
Minister of Education.
Respected Speaker Madam, this bill is a specific legislation. In the existing Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita, offences like these are not specifically mentioned. Our government have tried to identify and define the unfair means in the conduct of examinations. Our government have tried to target a particular part. But if the magnitude of the crime goes beyond a certain extent, it will obviously fall in the domain of Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita. One of my colleagues have commented on the term of imprisonment. In the case of examination malpractices, I think that lives of lakhs of students are at stake. So, considering the intensity of the crime, our government has come to the conclusion to punish severely to those who are involved in such malpractices. The government always thinks about the young minds of the country and have always tried to look over all the malpractices happening and have tried utmost to stop them. Madam Speaker, one of my opposition members have asked about prevention. Punishment itself is a deterrent for prevention. This is the first step towards it. And as we move on, we will collectively apply our minds and take further decisions. But If we don't take this first step, we won't be preventing anything. Hence, punishment is a means to prevention. Thank you, madam.
Now the question is that bill is to be taken into consideration. Those who are in favor will please say aye. Those who are against will please say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. Motion is adopted. Now the question is that section 9 also stands part of this bill. Those who are in favor will please say ayes. Those who are against will please say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. Clause 2 to 10 stands part of this bill. That chapter 1, the enacting formula and the title stands part of this bill. Those who are in favor will please say ayes. Those who are against it will please say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. Motion is adopted. Minister of Education.
Madam, I move this bill.
Motion moved that bill is passed. Those who are in favor will please say ayes. Those who are against will please say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. Motion is adopted and bill is passed. Now we'll take up the last item in the list of business, that is private member resolution. Honorable Member Tanish.
Respected Madam Speaker, discrimination based on disability is an act which is being neglected like anything. The disabled people must have the right to equality, dignity and independence. They should have accessibility to buildings, public transports and have equal opportunities among the society. Madam Speaker, it's crucial for us to promote inclusivity and remove barriers to ensure the individuals to fully enjoy their rights. Madam Speaker, I would like to place few suggestions before the House regarding the offences done and their punishments. Firstly, the disabled people must be given reserved seats to all the institutions, including the private ones. Second, equal opportunities are to be provided in all the sectors like education and employment. Third, a helpline number shall be assigned for the aid of the disabled individuals. The existing norms and laws about conviction on the offenders needs to be strengthened by extending the imprisonment period and increasing fines in order to implement strictness on the offenders. Madam Speaker, with these suggestions, I move my resolution and hope that the Honorable Minister will take steps to incorporate this resolution. Thank you.
Minister of Social Justice and Empowerment.
Respected Madam Speaker, I would like to congratulate Honorable Member who has spoken on this resolution for focusing on one of the most neglected acts these days, discrimination. Discrimination is against the law. It is illegal. Nobody should either engage in it or remain silent upon witnessing it. The government is taking necessary actions regarding this arising problem. Madam, I am placing before the House various efforts made by our government to prohibit discrimination based on disability and place persons with disability on equal pedestal. The Rights of Persons with Disability Act states that all persons with disabilities can lead their life with dignity, without discrimination and with equal opportunities. This act also ensures protection of disabled individuals from abuse, violence and exploitation. And about the offenders, strict legal actions will be taken. They will have to face years of imprisonment and also pay a huge amount of fine. Madam, through you, I would like to request Honorable Member to withdraw his resolution.
Respected Madam Speaker, in the view of reply given by the Honorable Minister, I may be allowed to withdraw my resolution.
Now, shall the member be allowed to withdraw his resolution? Yes. The resolution is withdrawn. The House is adjourned to meet at 11 a.m. tomorrow.